U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum are now at 50% after President Donald Trump followed through on his plans to double the duties.
The president will be signing that executive order today, and steel and aluminum tariffs will be going to 50%, yes.
Meantime, the mayor of Sault Ste. Marie says that Trump doubling the steel and aluminum tariffs creates a severe economic depression in his city. So for more on those concerns, we're joined by Sault Ste. Marie's Mayor Matthew Shoemaker. Mayor, thank you so much for being with us. Your reaction this morning and your key concerns as we are now faced with 50% tariffs.
Yeah, I mean, the reaction is there's lots of anger and lots of anxiety in Sault Ste. Marie right now. Anger directed towards the U.S. administration, anxiety over what's going to happen if this is a long-term impact on our steel mills. So I've been saying that the federal government needs to, the federal and provincial governments, frankly, need to come together with a plan to assist the mills in Sault Ste. Marie, Hamilton, Saskatchewan, during this time, all the while trying to negotiate an end to the tariff regime that the U.S. has imposed on us, because it is unsustainable. It makes the product uneconomic to sell at a 50% increase in cost.
Okay, then describe for the rest of the country, what does that do to your community?
Well, half of our community relies on the steel plant, either directly or indirectly. It's about 2,800 jobs directly, but it impacts grocery stores, restaurants, the theater, the home improvement stores. Every one of those industries, secondary industries, and the suppliers, of course, to Algoma that go in there and do contract work. Every one of those businesses is going to be feeling the pinch of less money in Algoma's pocket to spend on, their employees, to spend on their contractors, to spend on product development. So that is going to be an immediate impact. I mean, they were able to, hobble along, I would say, with the 25% tariff while the negotiations were ongoing to resolve them. But at 50%, it's going to mean, it's going to have to mean job impacts.
Well, and I was going to ask you about the speed of that, because as you described it, hobbling along at 25% tariffs, you double that to 50. How long can you sustain those jobs? How long can any company sustain that kind of a tariff increase?
I mean, Algoma will know the answer with certainty. They're going through, as I understand, a number of scenarios to determine what path they will have to go down. A lot of it depends on what the supports are going to be from the federal government. So they've announced that defense spending will be made with Canadian steel, that Canadian projects will be made with Canadian steel. But if it takes 6 months to get there, there might not be Canadian steel being produced because it's unproducible at a 50% cost increase. So, I'm saying that there needs to be an immediate stopgap. I'm saying within the next 7 to 14 days to help the plant get to a point where they can finally negotiate a resolution to the tariffs.
Well, you bring up a really good point that this is in direct conflict with what the federal government has laid out as these nation-building projects. Can't build a nation when you've got, difficult to build a nation when you've got 50% tariffs. Listen, a statement from the Prime Minister's office late yesterday calls these tariffs add-ons unlawful and unjustified. But it's adding it's working on a new economic partnership with the United States. So on Monday, you asked the federal government to launch an action plan to support the steel industry within 7 to 10 days. What does that plan still apply?
I think it does, because, negotiating a resolution to this with the U.S. is not going to happen within the next couple of weeks, but there is the prospect of job losses within the next couple of weeks. So as, I've been saying, it's harder to rebuild a steel plant or to recreate a manufacturing industry than it is to support the one you've got so that it can make it through the hard times. And you can just look at exactly what President Trump's trying to do right now. He's trying to bring back steel jobs in the Pittsburgh area that have been gone for a long time. And he's doing it in this way that is, having a ridiculous impact on the customers and the suppliers of American companies. But nevertheless, we don't want to be in the situation in the Canadian government, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, saying, we have to bring Algoma back. Support Algoma and support Dofasco and Stelco while you've got them here, so that they can make it through to the end of the line where tariffs are removed or negotiated to be removed.
We are day one of this 50% tariff. What do you need to hear from the government today?
That there is a concrete plan within the next 7 to 10 to 14 days to resolve, to not resolve this, but to create supports that will be in effect immediately. So either they're going to buy more steel for defense spending contracts in the very short term, or they're going to support the workers who are impacted by the job losses, or they're going to stockpile steel, for example, would be another way that they could do it. So there's any number of ways they could go about it, but it needs to be quick and it needs to be impactful.
Last question, and this is about the people in your community. I know they are the casualties of this governmental trade war. What kind of concerns are you hearing from citizens? I mean, these are people who are standing to lose their jobs in the next month or so.
Yeah, the concern is that there is uncertainty around it all, and the uncertainty stems from the fact that nobody knows what's going to come out of the American administration next. So that's why I believe, and I think that the elected representatives at the provincial and federal government would say there needs to be immediate supports so that consumers and workers at the plant can have confidence that their job will still exist 6 months or a year from now, and not this uncertainty of how long is this going to go on and how many job losses will there be. There needs to be something in place quickly to provide that comfort.
Imagine you didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Sault Ste. Marie Mayor Matthew Shoemaker, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.